It's another edition of the Chant Pod. Welcome back, Teal Nation. I'm Sam Wiederhaft. This week we're taking things off the field, off the court, and talking student-athlete advancement because there was a big announcement about that earlier in the week. Coastal is rolling out the Teal Impact program, and the mastermind behind it is Alise Svihla. She's the Associate AD for Student-Athlete Development and Engagement and has been involved on the academic side of athletics for quite some time. Alise walked us through the new Teal Impact initiative, which will give our student athletes a great experience and prepare them for life after college. So let's get right to it. Here's my conversation with Alise Svihla. We're taking a dip into the administration on today's episode of the Chant Pod presented by Revolution Mortgage and talking student-athlete development off the field. And to do that, we have Alise Svihla, who is the Associate AD for Student-Athlete Development and Engagement. Alise, appreciate the time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am super excited for this episode because typically what my job is talking about what happens on the field or what happens on the court. And today we're taking a step off that and talking about the student-athlete experience with an emphasis on the student. Just kind of talk about what your role is with Chanticleer Athletics and how you're helping the athletes out.
Yeah, so my role just changed very recently, as we just put out recently. So I had a background in academics, and now I'm moving into student-athlete development and engagement. Really excited about that. We are focused on the holistic development of our student-athletes. So that is what we are here for. We are basically helping them with life after graduation, life after, or life outside of the field, life outside of the classroom. We'll focus on our core pillars, which are going to be community engagement, career development, personal growth, advocacy, and leadership. So these are the things that we'll be focusing on, making sure that our student athletes have the best experience possible while they're Chanticleers.
Well, congratulations on your new role. I know it's very fresh as of a couple of days ago. What were you doing, specifically with the athletes beforehand for the past, I think you said 2.5 years before this?
Yeah, so I've been in academics for almost 20 years now and about 2.5 years here at Coastal. I led our academic unit, so student athlete academic support. And basically what that was making sure that our student athletes are having the best experience possible academically, ensuring graduation and eligibility, things like that. But obviously graduation being that number one key component. So all of my background has been in academics. And then I was really looking for just something different, ready for a different role, ready to take that next step in terms of life after graduation. And what can we do to ensure that our students are getting the best holistic experience? And so worked with Chant on that, talked to him about it. Luckily, that was one of his key pillars as well, was the holistic experience of our student athletes. And so we saw eye to eye on that, and he saw a need for that as well. And he was able to put me in that role, and I'm really excited to take on this adventure. You mentioned a big background in academics, 20 plus years working in this field. What were some of the steps that got you to Coastal? We were talking beforehand. You've worked with Chance Miller beforehand. So what were some of those steps that got you to Conway? Yeah, so I went to Virginia Tech for undergrad and then Florida State for grad school. I worked at Florida State during grad school with academic advising, worked with students there. And then after grad school, I went to JMU, worked at JMU, our Sunbelt rivals there, for 6 years there and worked with a number of sports there. After JMU, I went to South Carolina, and that's where I met Chance. So I worked there for 3 years. I actually took a little bit of a break from academics for athletes and worked in career development there as well. And then after South Carolina, my alma mater called, went to Virginia Tech, back to my alma mater, which was always my dream. Went back there for 5 years and then decided it was time to be a director at that point. So was very fortunate to come to Coastal and haven't looked back since. I love being here, and that's when it was time for a change, I knew I was ready, but I didn't want to leave Coastal. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very fortunate, very grateful that I was able to stay here and take on a different role, but not have to leave Coastal. I love being Chanticleer. Yeah, we are so happy to have you here at Coastal. I've heard so many great things about you. Thank you. How did you kind of find that you had a passion for working in academics, but not only doing that, but helping athletes with that as well? Yeah, good question. I think it's all about the relationships. And anybody you talk to who works in this field, whether it's academics or student-athlete development, it's all about the relationships that we're able to build with our student-athletes. Back in grad school, when I first started doing this, it was all about those relationships. I have a thing for organizational skills, but also relationships and building those relationships with student-athletes. And so I'm able to do both with this field. And I love that. I can make an action plan or help students with their study halls and homeworks and things like that, but also build those relationships and push them. I love to push student athletes, see what their goals are, but push them to be a little bit more than that. You can come to me and say, you know, I'm never going to graduate. And I'm going to say, no, you are going to graduate. This is what you're going to do. And you're going to graduate in 3 years, not 4. And so I like to push them. I like to give them a lot of love and support, but help them to see where they can go. And so that's really important to me, to have those long-term relationships. For me, it's been such a journey, and seeing how many student athletes I've been able to work with over this long-term career. And that's just been such a big part of my journey, those lifelong relationships at all of the schools that I've been at. I've got former students that I still talk to this day. I've got godchildren that are former student athletes' children, and been in weddings and things like that. And that just helps me to stay grounded and stay going in this field.
Well, we had a big announcement earlier this week, Teal Impact,
Yes.
which you are spearheading this project
Yes.
along with Carrie Rosick. Tell me about what Teal Impact is and what are some of the goals for this program?
Yes, we are pumped about it. Every time I talk about it, I get so excited. So we are actually meeting with all the teams right now to talk about Teal Impact and talk about our student athlete development and engagement department. And Carrie and I are so excited. Walter's working with us as well. So the 3 of us are spearheading this. We've got some GAs and interns as well. So basically what this is our holistic development. So it is the holistic development of our student athletes. We're focused on those pillars. When it comes to community engagement, we are challenging all of our student athletes to get at least 10 hours of community service this semester. We want to make sure that we are at the top of the leaderboard when it comes to community service. It's important for our student athletes to get out there in the community, to build those relationships, to see how important they have that role in the community. And then career development, I'm building an internship database, working with our local community partners to make sure that we offer internships for our student athletes, working with student athletes one-on-one to do resumes, cover letters, interview tips, things like that, LinkedIn accounts. And also working with campus as well to make sure that we're building those connections with career services too. And then in terms of our personal growth, we'll have our financial literacy seminar this semester. We'll bring someone in to talk about that. We have a menu of options that they can choose from to talk about budgeting or lifestyles of the rich and famous. What kind of mistakes have been made? We want to make sure we avoid those. And then in terms of advocacy, we've got our National Women in Sports Day coming up. We're going to do a lot with that. We'll do a lot with our National Student Athlete Day as well. And then in terms of leadership, I'll be overseeing our SAC community, which is our student athlete organization for leaders in our community. So I'll be overseeing them, making sure that they have opportunities to be leaders on campus as well.
There's a lot of layers to this program.
There is, sorry.
A lot of exciting stuff. No, and you know it back to front. I mean, it's incredible. Let's talk about those pillars. You mentioned it.
Yes.
Career development, community engagement, leadership, personal growth, and advocacy. Why were those chosen as the 5 most important aspects of this program?
I think those 5 really encompass the holistic experience. When thinking about how we can ensure that our student athletes are getting a well-rounded experience here in terms of not just academics, in terms of not just graduation, those kind of stuck out to me in terms of making sure that we're giving them the best experience possible. Mm-hmm. And so I think that encompasses what we really want to do here.
And what was some of the work behind the scenes? I mean, how long has this been in development? What kind of went into the rollout of this that was finally announced earlier this week?
It's been a few months. It's definitely been a few months in behind the scenes. And so Chance and I have had a lot of conversations. Carrie and I have had a lot of conversations. I've been talking to a lot of people in the field, building new friendships with people that do this at other schools. And I think just trying to take little pieces of things that people do and put them here at Coastal. And so it's been a few months in the process, and we're just excited to finally unveil it to everyone. And the reception has been amazing. The reception has been awesome. The student athletes are really excited about it. I'm getting text messages late at night like, hey, Lise, can I come in and work on my resume tomorrow? And I'm like, yes, come in, let's do it. So I'm just really excited. I wake up in the middle of the night with a new idea, like, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. So I'm just really, really pumped. It's definitely ignited a fire in me that I needed.
Yeah, I've said it on broadcast before. I've said it on shows that in this ever-changing world of college athletics, the student-athlete part is almost kind of being forgotten about because of NIL and all that stuff and what players do on the field. But, just in your words, how important is it to have something like this, so that students are getting that experience for when they do move on and get into the real world?
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. There is so much going on with the transfer portal, NIL. There's all this, there's that, there's this. And I think one thing that we can control is this. We want to control what we can control, and we want to give ourselves an edge. And this is something that Coastal can control. And this is something that can make us leaders within the Sun Belt Conference and amongst our peers. And so I want to be the best of the best. I always want to be the best of the best. And so this is something that I think we can really stand out. And maybe we can't offer millions and millions of dollars like some of these other schools, but what can we offer? We can offer this, and we can offer you a well-rounded experience where you're going to be able to have an internship. You're going to be able to leave here with experience on your resume. You're going to be able to leave here with the skills that you need to be an outstanding citizen amongst graduation, or, these other things that we can give you that maybe you couldn't get at another school. And so I think that we just have to make sure we really focus on the things we can control.
Yeah, I'm a stats guy, right? So I'm always looking at points per game and touchdowns and all these numbers.
Yes.
And I saw a few weeks ago, we rolled out team GPAs.
Yes.
Which numbers I'm a big fan of. And a lot of those were very much improved amongst a variety of teams. What do you credit that to? I mean, how much work has been done on that side of things to, improve the team's overall academic standing?
Thanks for bringing that up.
Of course.
I'm really proud of how well we've done academically. We actually have 80% of our student athletes have a 3.0 or higher.
Wow.
So that is amazing. I'm just really, really proud of how well our student athletes do. And anytime we can get a chance to talk about how well our student athletes do outside of the courts, the fields, it's just amazing. I'm just so proud of what they do and how hard they work. And so, it's a credit to everyone. It's a credit to the student athletes, obviously, but also the coaching staffs, the administration, everyone and the SAS staff as well. The student athlete academic support staff put so much time and effort into it. And 3.0 is kind of our standard. We set a standard and we wanted to have that be the standard. We set records, we break them, and we set new ones. And so I'm really, really proud of that. And we recognize those student athletes. And so I'm really proud of how hard they work, and having 80% of our student athletes with a 3.0 is just amazing. So really, really proud of that.
Talking to you is making me want to go back to school again.
Good. that means I'm good at recruiting.
That's right. Talking with Alise Svihla with the Chant Sports Network presented by Revolution Mortgage with the Office of Student Athlete Development and Engagement. You mentioned you've been at Coastal for the past 2.5 years, which is really right in the middle of the boom of NIL and these collectives now becoming a thing, and athletes getting paid pretty much directly from the school. How have you seen your world just change so much in the past couple of years on the academic side?
Yeah, I think we just have to really focus on keeping academics important. It's hard. It's definitely made it harder. You see all these articles and things where student athletes don't want to go to class anymore, and they're getting paid for this and paid for that, and I'm sure that does make it harder. But I think for us, academics are still academics. Education's still important to us. And at the core of what we do, that's still important. And so for us who live and breathe academics and student athlete development, we just want to make sure that we're continuing to hone in on that message of how important getting that degree is and how vital it is to their success. And so that's not going to change for us.
You talk about how important, building these relationships are, and you've been in weddings before, and you've made lifelong friends doing this. What are some of those success stories that you've been able to be a part of now here at Coastal for the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think here at Coastal, it's those students that you build those relationships with that didn't think that they could do it. And it doesn't have to be a huge milestone. It can be somebody who just didn't think they were going to pass a class, and then they do, or somebody who struggles a lot and they put in the time and effort and get that grade, and they come in and celebrate that grade with you. And then, of course, it's the monumental moments like the graduations and accomplishing goals like getting drafted or whatever it might be. Those are the big moments too, but it's all about the little moments too. For me, those little moments add up and they make it all worthwhile. Mm-hmm. And to me, you have to hold on to those because it's a grind. This job is a grind. Everything we do is a grind. And as you know, anybody who works in sports, it's a grind. But you hold on to those little moments and it makes it all worthwhile.
How much are you trying to get out and actually, see these players on the field and on the court?
Yeah, definitely. And that's important. It's important. Obviously, you're exhausted sometimes and you're like, I could watch this on the couch. But it's really important to be able to go see them too because they appreciate that. And it means a lot to them.
Well, let's close it out, Alise, with talking more Teal Impact. Fans saw that post earlier this week. Alumni saw that post. How can people get involved and, help out your program that helps out these student athletes?
Yeah, I'd say definitely contact Coastal Athletics and see how you can get involved. We definitely want the support of our new program. It's brand new, so we would love to have supporters. And make sure you build those connections with us so that we can get involved with the community as well as internships, things like that. Anything that you want to be able to offer our student athletes, we want to take advantage of that. So we really want to build those connections with the community.
Well, Alise, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome. I'd love to talk about this whole program, and really looking forward to seeing the success of this moving forward.
Thank you so much. Chant's up.
She is so full of energy and truly has a passion for our athletes here at Coastal Carolina. Just a great person. Thank you again to Alise for coming on, and be on the lookout for ways to get involved and help our student athletes here in Conway. So now looking at things on the court, we've got another full week of hoops at the HTC Center, a pair of double headers for the men and women's team. The first is on Thursday with the 12-3 women's basketball team taking on Georgia State. It's an early one, 11 a.m. on ESPN+. Then after that at 7 p.m., the men's team is taking on Georgia Southern, also on ESPN+. That'll be a teal out with a really cool replica jersey giveaway, so come on out Thursday for that one and the women's game in the morning. Saturday is another doubleheader with the women's team playing the top team in the Sun Belt, JMU. That'll be at 1 o'clock, and the men follow up against Marshall at 3:30, both on ESPN+, both at the HTC Center. So a really exciting weekend of basketball right here at home. And of course, we talked with head baseball coach Kevin Schnall a few weeks ago, and the season is getting closer. The Chants were ranked 23rd in the preseason poll by Perfect Game, and our guy, Caden Bodine, was named a preseason All-American by Perfect Game. So the preseason accolades are rolling in, and the Chants are gearing up for another big season. And that's how we'll close this episode out. Again, thank you to Alise Svihla for coming on and talking about Teal Impact. We can't wait to see the improvement through that program for our student athletes. Enjoy the week, everybody. I'm Sam Wiederhaft signing off. Chants up.